Hello everybody, it's John12 back here again with another video, and today I bring you another top 5. Yes, it's that time of the week again, and today's a very special day, not only because it's Memorial Day, but because it's actually my mother's birthday. Today would be my mother's, obviously, day of birth if she was around and what have you, and ironically enough, this top 5, based on the title, has nothing to do with either one things. I do realize that. But I have these things pre-planned, so it's a schedule thing. You already know, so I can't really change things around and what have you. And plus, I've been wanting to do this particular top 5 for a long time now. But overall, with that being said, this top 5 is going to be dedicated to obviously Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend, which I hope a lot of people out there are enjoying. And on top of that, will also be dedicated to my mother because today would be her birthday. But nonetheless, having that being said, I'm going to be doing a top 5 dedicated to Batman fan films. Yes, fan films are an amazing thing. I've actually done some myself in the past during my YouTube career, as I like to call it. And fan films are awesome to watch. They're just basically short films dedicated to pre-existing franchises where we get to see things that we don't really get to see with the big studio budget movies. And there's tons of Batman fan films. Tons of people love the lore and mythos of Batman and the Dark Knight himself and Gotham City and the villains and the rogues galleries and the Jokers. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure there's more or less more fan films dedicated to the Joker than there is actually Batman. But nonetheless, I just wanted to give out some support to what I personally think are the best and my personal favorite Batman fan films. And particularly for this specific list, for my criteria, I will only be choosing fan films and short fan films that are fully dedicated to the character of the Dark Knight. I won't be choosing any fan films dedicated to the Joker or Catwoman or Riddler or whoever. It's mostly has to have Batman as the main protagonist, or at least a main player in the movie itself. And of course, I will also not be choosing any fan films that are tributes or dedications or basically continuations of pre-existing Batman films like Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy or Tim Burton's Batverse. It's mostly going to be completely 100% original Batman fan films with a little inspirations here and there. I mean, like, there's no way to hide from, obviously Batman fan films being inspired from, whether it be the look or design from prior films, but mostly 100% the creations of the creators themselves. But nonetheless, that being said, overall, I love fan films. Fan films, to me, when I think of fan films, I personally think fun. Like, if I'm not particularly seeing that the people who were obviously dedicated to make the project are not having fun and it's not really a fun time to watch, then I personally don't think you really did a good job at creating a good, entertaining fan film. But overall, fan films in general are just a medium where filmmakers and creators can just come together, artists can just come together and just create a project without having to deal with the big studio budgets and the big studio, like, confrontations and, trying to get your inspiration, your personal view of the source material out there that other studios can't really get you to do. And personally, I think fan films and fan filmmakers have done a brilliant job at creating awesome Batman projects, and I just wanted to name a few that I personally think are awesome and mostly films that I actually watch on a weekly to monthly basis, and I definitely recommend a lot of you to check out. But nonetheless, that being said, let's get into this list. Coming up at number 5 has to go to Batman Death Wish. Batman Death Wish is essentially a fan film kind of inspired by the Schumacher-verse. It's essentially a film it's basically what Batman and Robin should have been. This is what the film should have been. It's not really a part of the Schumacher-verse. It's more or less just inspired mostly through the costumes and design, and it still has like that campiness, but essentially it's a film that's dedicated to its own story than just trying to be a part of that specific universe. But I can see where, if you watched it right off the bat, that you can kind of get the feeling of like, oh, well, this is kind of a part of that universe. It's not technically, but it's inspired by, which is why I put it on my list. And it personally, very entertaining for a film that really doesn't have, I want to say, the greatest of Batman action, but definitely is a very entertaining story. And also, I like that campiness. I know over the course of the last decade, Warner Brothers and everyone else who's ever tried to approach a Batman project has like mostly dedicated Batman, making him darker and darker and darker and darker, almost to the point where, people are almost sick of the darkness. But if you're into like a campier kind of Batman and you want to see just a entertaining short fan film dedicated to a campier kind of Batman, this is the Batman fan film you should watch. It has that right amount of campiness that you get with the Schumacher verse, but it's a little bit more detective worthy and a more basically worthy film for The Dark Knight, and also features various awesome characters from the Batman mythos and rogues galleries. Hence, spoilers if you've not seen it. It features characters like Tim Drake Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Batgirl, Katana, just various other Riddler, just various other characters from the Batman universe. And that's what I like from fan films, where you have this long history of the character and you can just use them. And I like when creators do that. So I definitely recommend a lot of people to check out Batman Death Wish. Moving on for that, going to number 4, has to go to Truth of the Mask. Now, this film is not really it's not really a full-on Batman fan film, but it's more or less a Bruce Wayne kind of fan film. It's obviously, if you've not seen the original, it's a sequel. This fan film is a sequel to Broad Strokes' original short fan film, which was a Riddler and Huntress fan film. And personally, when I first saw it, I wasn't really a huge fan of it. It's mostly just an interrogation scene, which is, always original, I guess, because people just, like, ever since The Dark Knight, everyone just loves doing Batman interrogation sequences. It's just one of those things that you have to do. Ever since The Dark Knight, you gotta do an interrogation scene. And most like 90% of the time of most Batman fan films, there's an interrogation scene somewhere in there. But nonetheless, having that said, the sequel is far superior. It's just way better. They were able to get Kevin Porter. For those of you who don't know who is Kevin Porter, he's essentially a close friend and collaborator with Aaron Schoenke from Bat and the Sun, who obviously do all those great superpower beatdowns and what have you. I'm pretty sure you've heard of them. And Kevin Porter is basically the internet's Batman, kind of similar to how Kevin Conroy is the definitive voice of Batman. Kevin Porter is basically the definitive YouTube's Batman. He's been in tons of Batman fan films. He plays Batman in all of Bat and the Sun's projects, and he just gives us the greatest performances of any other Batman we've seen, not including obviously what we've seen from Kevin Conroy and obviously from the movies or what have you, but he just gives his own spin, and he just feels like if you took Kevin Conroy Bat voice to life, that's kind of like what Kevin Porter basically is. And the movie overall is predicated on the fact of Riddler introducing the fact that he knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman and kind of encourages him to reveal his identity, and Bruce Wayne actually does throughout the film actually reveal that he is Batman, but no one really believes him, so it's kind of like a waste of time for the Riddler. And at the end of the day, it's mostly a talk fest, but it's a very enjoyable film, and I like the fact that they had Kevin Porter, they had all these great performances from prior actors, like the actresses who play Huntress and Talia, and then you have the actor who plays Riddler, who I think did an awesome job. I mean, granted, he's not really the Riddler I expect from the comic books, but I think he did a great job. Like, he did a good, realistic live-action performance of what I expect a Riddler to be in real life. And Kevin Porter's always awesome in everything he's done. And overall, the movie's just really awesome. I mean, it's not a Batman fan film per se, but it's a full-on Bruce Wayne awesomeness of fan film. So it's a fan film of awesomeness of Kevin Porter. Check it out. Moving off of that, going to number 3 on this list has to go to the Batman Chronicles. Essentially, if you've ever seen Gotham, and you always wondered, like, what would it be like if that little kid became Batman in a future Gotham season? This fan-made series is essentially what Gotham would be like in the future That's essentially what I like to think of it. I know this fan film. It's actually, if you've never seen it, it's actually a 3-part fan series, but it's mostly just supposed to be one big fan film, short fan film, and it's obviously spoilers if you've not seen it. It's obviously about the first kind of years of Batman being Batman and how he's trying to deal with the corruption of the police force, and obviously his first encounter with the criminal known as the Joker before he's obviously the big over-the-top famous Joker we get from later comic books. And basically it's essentially Frank Miller's Batman Year One meets The Man Who Laughs. It's essentially, if you took those two story arcs, mesh them together, that's essentially what this 3-part fan series is. It's amazingly done. All the actors are awesome. The actor who plays Bruce Wayne / Batman's pretty awesome. He kind of looks like a live action version of like the Batman animated series, not the Kevin Conroy one, but the later one with the morphed versions of the characters, like the Kevin Richardson version of like that kind of version of Batman. He looks like that brought to life. And also, when you watch it, I don't know why, but I get the feeling every time I see it where it's like, if Gotham became a live action, if Gotham took a time jump and you got to see Batman in action, in that universe, it just feels like it would be that kind of universe. It has the same feel, it has the same kind of design. The actor who plays Bruce Wayne kind of looks like the kid Bruce Wayne. Like, it just feels like that. So I'm just saying, like, the Batman Chronicles, watch it next to Gotham, and it kind of just fits. Like, it fits, like, in that universe. That's just how I personally feel. But overall, having that being said, this 3-part series is awesome. I definitely recommend it. It's an awesome, well-done reimagining of the Batman universe. The actor who plays the Joker is really awesome. He gives a real Man Who Laughs kind of joke, like a 1940s / 50s kind of Joker, which personally, I really wasn't into my first viewing of it, because for me personally, I like a more wackier, psychotic kind of Joker, kind of like the Joker of today's generation. I like that kind of Joker more because he's, like a Grant Morrison kind of Joker. But overall, I really enjoyed the rendition he gives it. He kind of gives it like a really good, like, 1940s kind of mob boss kind of feel to it. And overall, every other actor in here is awesome. The James Gordon, the corruption in the police force, just the design of the Gotham City, everything in it is just really awesome and well done and very put together very well. It's just a nice rendition of the series that really fits on its own kind of toes, but at the same time, like, even though it's not connected, just feels like if you put them together, Gotham, Fox's Gotham, and this series together, it just feels like they would fit. I don't know why. Let me know what you personally think in the comments below after watching it. If you've never seen it, definitely go check it out and let me know what you personally think. But moving off of that, going to number 2, has to go to Bat and the Sun's Batman City of Scars. For me personally, this is one of the definitive Batman fan films out there. And of course, it's the return of Kevin Porter as Batman. And of course, it's directed by Aaron Schoenke from Bat and the Sun and what have you. Batman City of Scars, if you've not seen it, essentially is a very dark, gritty, it's essentially the comic books brought to life of Batman trying to take down the Joker after escaping from Arkham Asylum, and essentially trying to stop him prior to wreaking havoc and practically destroying all of Gotham City and what have you. And at the same time, simultaneously, the Joker has kidnapped a kid and plans to do some diabolical type of things with him. The movie's really dark. It's really awesome. Chock full of amazing writing, visuals, and obviously acting from the actors who play the Joker, and obviously Kevin Porter, who plays the Dark Knight himself. Aaron Schoenke, he loves the Batman universe. He said it himself multiple times. It's one of his favorite characters of all time. And you can tell through his directing and all the things he's done with the character of Batman. It's just all over the top and awesome. And it's basically the comic books brought to life. I mean, everything he's done, whether it be the superpower beatdowns, the shorts, the fucking everything he does with the character of Batman and him teaming up with Kevin Porter is just really awesome. This movie it's just amazing. It's great. It came out at an amazing point in time, and I definitely recommend a lot of people to check it out. For me personally, spoilers, the only thing that really stops it from being number 1 in my book, and originally I was going to put it at number 1 because of how well done and great this movie is, but at the same time, the anticlimactic ending to it is so just not the way I think they should have went with it, that it stops it from being number one. If you had a different ending, like if they created an alternate ending for that specific film, I would have put it at number one, because everything else is awesome, but that ending. That's the only thing that really kills it for me. But that being said, it's still a phenomenal piece of fan film, and I definitely check a lot of people to see it. Nonetheless, before I get to my number one pick, let's name off a couple of honorable mentions. Batman The Bloody Valentine's pretty awesome. The Dark Knight Legacy, done by Machinima, is pretty great. Obviously, you got some other inspired Dark Knight trilogy-esque kind of fan films like The Batman Last Laugh. You also have Night's Waltz by Blinky Productions, which is actually more or less a Catwoman fan film, but nonetheless I still like it. That being said, Batman vs. Terminator is also pretty good. Seeds of Arkham, Batman Legends, pretty much mostly what Bat in the Sun has done already. Batman vs. Iron Man. But moving off the honorable mentions, let's get right down into my number one pick, which has to go down to Batman Dead End. This movie is basically the godfather of all Batman fan films. It's an amazing fan film to watch. It's essentially, if you've not seen it, is a crossover film of Batman versus Alien and Predator. And essentially, in it, he has to take down the Joker, an escaped Arkham Asylum Joker, and that simultaneously gets caught in between a crossfire of Alien and Predator, and has to face down both Alien and Predator to survive. And essentially it ends with Batman obviously being caught through these two alien species in a war against each other, and just goes out in a full assault against both aliens and Predator. It's an amazing badass movie. It came out around the time before Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy was happening. It's essentially when Chris Nolan was doing the Batman Begins movie. It's right before that, and it's also during the time where Batman's popularity wasn't really at its height now, and really wasn't as dark as it really got. Essentially, this is post Schumacher-verse, obviously, so it's not really the greatest time for Batman, but this was the return of the Dark Knight, obviously. This is Sandy's amazing directing. It's basically a film that was dedicated to Sandy's performance as a director and his visual style and what he's fully capable of doing. And personally, I really feel like he should have been like the Aaron Schoenke of the mid-2000s. If he continued doing more Batman fan films, or at least fan films dedicated to the DC universe, along with Clark Bertram, who, if you've not seen, obviously plays Bruce Wayne / Batman, who I think was awesome. They could have been the Aaron Schoenke and Kevin Porter of the mid-2000s. That's how good they were. I mean, if you watch it, it's amazing piece of fan film. It's just so badass. It's so dark. It's essentially Alex Ross Batman brought to life. That's what it is. That's the best compliment that I can give it. It's my favorite fan film. I have to see it at least a couple dozen times every year. It's just so badass. It's so amazing. I wish they could have made this into an actual movie. Hell, I would have liked it if Sandy would have directed an actual Batman film. I mean, this was the Batman film that we should have got in live action, but granted, we got the Dark Knight trilogy, so we can't cry too much. But nonetheless, having that said, this is obviously an awesome movie. The Predator, the Alien, the Batman, the Joker, is everything about. I mean, it's the craziest looking Joker that we've ever gotten in a fan film. The most comic book accurate Batman we've ever seen, and just amazing fight sequences between Batman and the Predator himself and Alien. I think everyone who was involved did an amazing job 100% throughout the production. Batman Dead End, really awesome. If you've not seen it, I definitely recommend you checking it out. It's definitely worth the watch. And essentially, if it wasn't for this particular fan film, we wouldn't have any of the other fan films to come. I really truly believe that if it wasn't for Batman Dead End, you wouldn't even have like Bat in the Sun. There wouldn't be any of that kind. You wouldn't have Batman City of Scars or any of other kind of Batman fan film. This one was the one that really broke down the doors of what you can do with fan films, and fan films particularly dedicated to the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight universe. But that being said, this is pretty much the end of my top 5. I've talked too much about Batman today, and personally, my next Batman v Superman video will more than likely be dedicated to top 5 Superman fan films, I guess. I don't know how that's going to work out, because unlike Batman, there's not really that many Superman fan films, or at least Superman fan films that are truly amazing. But that being said, I'll definitely be checking most of the internet out to find an amazing fan film of Superman. But that being said, I definitely recommend a lot of you to check out all the fan films I pointed out. Personally, this is subjective. Most of my top 5s are subjective in my personal thoughts, so of course this is my list. Let me know what's your personal list of top 5 Batman fan films in the comments below. And of course, this top 5 is dedicated to Memorial Day and obviously my mother's birthday. So I hope you guys enjoy Memorial Day, and obviously subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John 12.